The Amsterdam interviews are powered by Bitfavo, and we're sitting here with Adam Beck from Blockstream.
Welcome, Adam.
Welcome.
Well, thanks for having me on.
And you just sat at a panel discussion we saw. So, great that you made some time for us.
Yeah.
Let's start a little bit about something that we saw recently. There were some improvements in the Lightning implementations. We talked before with some guests that we had on the show about static invoicing, and also with Rusty Russell about Bolt 12. That was some time ago, but now Bolt 12 has been added to the Lightning spec. How important is it, do you think, for improving the way we use the Lightning Network and the user experience for that matter?
Yeah, I mean, I think the core Lightning team was keen on Bolt 12, and some of the other Lightning implementations have supported that.
Yeah.
Of course, it's partly about having standards so that you can rely on other wallets to interoperate with. So the uptake has been good, and it brings an interoperable way to do some of these new functionalities where you can rely on merchants and payment platforms, and like maybe B2C Pay Server with support. Then you can start to rely on it with wallets that support it.
Yeah, because normally a user needed to do a couple of things to have recurring payments, for example, and this makes a huge difference for people who are not that tech savvy to also have the ability to have those.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a challenge for a new feature because there's diversity in wallets. Like, people have different wallets based on different Lightning implementations. So you need, support for interoperability purposes from a few different ones, right?
Yeah.
And so, generally, the infrastructure side, like B2C Pay Server, they will add support for the latest and greatest things, which gives you the server part, but then you still need the popular wallets to support to get widespread use and benefit. But I mean, people can also, if they want a feature, they can upgrade, or the wallet authors can, make different choices in their network stack as well.
Yeah, because it's not a problem if you choose a wallet, for example, that doesn't support Bolt 12, but then, of course, a user can choose for himself.
Right.
Yeah, but then you have some downsides.
Yeah. And I talked to you previous of the recording, and I said, what is something we can discuss? You said yourself, interoperability is a major thing, obviously, within the Lightning space. How is core Lightning working towards seamless interaction between different Lightning implementations?
Yeah, one of the things the core Lightning team did, like Rusty, Christian, and Lisa, was to build a interoperability sort of regression testing framework. Mm-hmm. So they automated many different types of Lightning payment scenarios and hooked it all into the major implementations, so that as each implementation is evolving and adding features, if something fails or breaks accidentally, it can be tested and detected in an automated way. So they put a lot of effort into that automation testing. And then I think the other kind of focus of core Lightning is to approach Lightning from sort of standards, from an interoperability point of view, by using the Bolt standard process, where different implementations collaborate around the standard to arrive at a nice standard that does what's useful to users, and then use the standard to build interoperability. So I think sometimes there's a trade-off. Sometimes people will build something like a demo or something proprietary, and then that will have to work its way into the standards. So I think it's good that there are multiple implementations that are positively supporting the standardization effort. I think that provides sort of a seamless experience to people with different wallets that they can benefit from. I mean, some changes to Lightning help everybody, and you don't need it in the client, like a routing benefit, let's say, but some need client support, like the Bolt 12, for example.
Yeah, and is this something, it frustrates you personally, that maybe interoperability wasn't at the top of everyone's lists for the past couple of years, or?
Well, I mean, I guess it's just a normal part of sort of different developers having different priorities. You see probably something analogous in Bitcoin wallets, because the there are different script templates. So the ability to participate in a multisig, for example, that took a while to bootstrap because it needed to be supported by lots of different wallets. That's there now, but any innovation like that requires multi-wallet support, but that tends to slow things down. And of course, in the on-chain world, PSBT and Miniscript help that because it means a wallet can sort of automatically answer something that it wasn't hard-coded in it when it was implemented. That's a kind of major innovation in that. But, some things in Lightning still are not going to work that way. You're going to have interoperability the hard way, which is wallet authors and Lightning Stack implementations collaborating to make sure the interoperability works and that there are, multiple implementations that support useful functionality for users.
And is it also something that is more difficult to work on? Something that is by default so decentralized. I mean, the Bitcoin network is decentralized by default. Is it then also more difficult to work on interoperability because it's you also want everything open source, obviously. Is it more difficult, you think, than let's say the big tech companies that are also working on products?
Well, I mean, I think you've got one thing that's quite challenging is to evolve the Bitcoin consensus protocol, like soft forks for new opcodes and things like that. Of course, that is, a very complicated thing to change because basically everybody has to agree approximately, right? But in Lightning, you're more in a permissionless innovation space. Now, of course, the original Lightning needed, some new opcodes to help it, and there's still other opcodes like APO or something for LN symmetry. But apart from those, evolving something like Bolt 12, the main chain doesn't know about that, right? It's just using standard things. So then it's just really down to, collaboration on the specifics of the Lightning Network protocol, which are invisible to the Bitcoin main chain. Right? So that's just, Bitcoin's a very friendly space. I think the collaboration is more there than like hostile competition, right? So I think that's good for that's good for users that it is that way.
It is. From interoperability, let's head over to Lightning scalability. It's always been one of its strong points. What are the latest developments in core Lightning that you believe will further improve scalability of the network?
So we've been working on Greenlight, which is a kind of lighter protocol for Lightning Wallet to network interaction, right? So you've got the so-called full node Lightning wallets like Phoenix, which actually have a full node in the client, or LDK, which you can build a full node with. And then you've got the hosted Lightning wallets where it's really an IOU and you don't have control of the keys. So Greenlight fits in between. So you have control of the keys, and it behaves a bit like a trampoline originated payment in the sense that you are offloading the gossip protocol, the routing assistance, and the actual network interactivity to a hosted node, but you still have the keys in the wallet, and you're talking a kind of client-server protocol to the wallet. So it helps you because your routing is going to be more reliable because the online servers are always on and they're able to probe the network, and it should start faster because you don't have to catch up with changes in the gossip network or missing information about which nodes have failed recently. So it should help like that. Plus you also have the possibility to migrate to your own node later. So it's not it's a way for people to start without a node and bring a node in later and bring their context into the node with knowledge that the keys never lived in the node, right? They're always local. So there is a trade-off. You were giving up some privacy by having a server help you with your routes, but it has some advantages. So that's one approach. And then, of course, there are many startups in the space who are building things and doing innovation organically. So Blockstream is active in another layer 2 or sidechain, which is Liquid, Liquid sidechain of Bitcoin, and that has Liquid Bitcoin in it. So it's kind of vaguely analogous to establishing a Lightning channel that you can peg Bitcoin into it and peg it out again. But what Bolt's exchange were doing is providing trustless atomic swaps to rebalance Lightning channels with main chain Bitcoin. And when the fees spiked last year, they added support for liquid Bitcoin atomic rebalancing of main chain Lightning channels. And that was interesting because they could avoid the main chain fees while doing a trustless submarine swap for Lightning channel capacity. So, that has actually started a whole new Lightning wallet architecture, which is now there are 3, maybe 4 wallets that are Lightning wallets but don't have any Lightning stack in them. And how they do it is they have a liquid wallet, and when they want to make a Lightning payment, they call a Bolt's API to swap Lightning swap liquid Bitcoin for a Lightning payment. And when they want to receive Lightning, they do the opposite, which they swap a Lightning payment for a liquid balance. And the interesting thing is it's non-custodial and trustless. So
that really is
it basically becomes arguably the simplest Lightning wallet architecture, which is you can be a Lightning wallet without being a Lightning wallet. Now, of course, there are fees, but the liquid network fees have been dropped by a factor of 10. So, it's probably quite practical on a cost basis. And of course, anything involving LSPs and liquidity is typically charging fees anyway, so it may actually compete positively with those. So I think that's an interesting sort of development in improving balancing of channels, which should generally improve the network, and reducing the cost of doing that. And then I think the next step, and so there are a few different companies using that approach for their wallets, and then there is the Greenlight approach, which are just alternative approaches. And Breeze has been doing a lot of good work. They have an API to simplify adding Lightning to wallets, and they've been switched their platform, their architecture to use Greenlight, and they are getting involved in the liquid aspects of it. A step even further ahead, which is people may not be so familiar with this, but if you think about Bitcoin as the layer 1 and liquid as a layer 1.5, then it's possible to make a Lightning channel on top of liquid Bitcoin. And so you can have a whole separate network, which is, doing conventional Lightning things, but on top of liquid Bitcoin, which has, 1-minute blocks, lower fees, because it's not, as overloaded as a Bitcoin network. And it can make different trade-offs because, you could have a higher resource node requirement. I mean, it has confidential transactions, which requires more processing already. And, people are opting into it. So you can make some requirement that, maybe you need more bandwidth and a bigger machine or something, right? And people will be okay with that as an opt-in, but they wouldn't be okay with it as a kind of base requirement for the main network, right? So, and with that, the idea is that you can have a mixed network, which has got some, merchant infrastructure using main chain Lightning and some using liquid Lightning and some wallets using either approach, and then, wallets that can interoperate. And that could, improve scalability and cost of the network. And effectively, as long as your payment works and is atomic, you don't really even know necessarily that it's being routed through, one or the other part of the network. And so, Breeze has, made some announcements about, going in this direction. And I think it's good that they're thinking ahead because, as we get into another Bitcoin bull market, it's usually the traders that push the fees up. And the next pain point will be, not people spamming the chain with JPEGs, but just that the Bitcoin price is higher. So
there's more activity.
There's more activity and the traders push the fees up. So, if that becomes sustained for a while, you've got the next pain point is even opening the channel.
Exactly.
You can rebalance it.
Or force close, which can be hard.
So I think it's a way to, create some additional capacity, and it can be easy for bigger channels to manage high-fee environments, but smaller channels, it becomes more problematic. So we'll see how it evolves, but it might be that, some retail payment-focused wallets just peer-to-peer payments and person-to-merchant payments might end up using Liquid on Lightning. People have been calling it LOL just because the acronym. I
love it.
Better name, but yeah, basically that if they use that on the kind of consumer side, it reduces the cost to manage the channels. Whereas a merchant with a big channel, the rebalancing and opening and closing channels is a smaller proportion. So that's kind of people planning ahead, basically.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, and the nice thing is, I already told you that we also talked with Jesse DeWitt, the Lightning developer, who's also working for Breeze, for Breeze, and they're also developing the SDK, so it's more easy for developers to work with Lightning on Liquid. So that's
right.
Yeah, good development. So really love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean there are a few wallets using Greenlight now. Another one is Relay.
Yeah,
Swiss
we just talked to Julian too. Yeah,
so they really increased the core Lightning node count. So I think they passed like 100,000 nodes or something, right? So
nice.
It's a lot of nodes.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Adam, thanks for your time.
Thanks again.
We are now here at Bitcoin 2024 in Amsterdam. You've been here a couple of times. What do you hope to get out of this conference to wrap up this interview?
Well, I mean, there are more and more people each year, and everybody's enthusiastic about Bitcoin. So we can, of course, being Bitcoin enthusiasts, we can talk about Bitcoin all day to anybody that's interested. So it's always fun, and useful to just interact with users and
it is.
Other people in startups building Bitcoin tech.
We're just gossiping like the network itself, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's the gossip protocol.
The gossip protocol in real life. Yeah. Well, thanks.
Thanks,
Adam.
gossiping. Thanks again, Adam.
Thanks again.
And till next year.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Okay, can we do a picture?
Yeah.